from around the corner. Magically, he appears and into the semifinals. All of that after being kind of outspoken about cars running fast, but yours running fast enough to take the stripe first. How good of a car is it?
Well, it's very consistent. Based off of what we qualified, it really doesn't reflect what the car's doing now. We felt we were close. We missed an opportunity Friday. It didn't get cool, but those were the best conditions that we raced in. So I feel as good as I ever have. The car's steady. It's doing what we're telling it to do, and you're not going to see any of those problems rear their head in these kinds of conditions. So just goes to show you that we do not have the traction available. So no, we're not going to be leaning on these things. But they're revving up. We're slowing flows down, and it takes a lot of discipline. Johnny's doing a good job. These guys are hanging in, and you got to keep in mind we're still learning to work together, and I'm very pleased with the results.
Consistently, he moves on to face Del Worsham in the semis.
When you hear about Tony talking about they're slowing flows down, that's for the clutch application. Make that clutch come in much slower. The flow rate of flow from the hydraulic clutch system basically doesn't apply the clutch as hard through the middle to get through these greasy racetracks.
Let's go to the G-Man.
With Larry Dixon, and boy, I don't know if it's that new tire. I don't know if it's Jason McCullough. I don't know if it's you. How much of a statement was that 90 right there, the 91?
Well, you know what? The Colettas, they're almost a team car to us, and, we certainly can't take them lightly. They're going to take off without me. They don't need me.
You're just the driver. Come on.
For another half an hour or something like that. But, statement for Sheikh Khaled, the country of Qatar, Toyota, everybody. They're, they're working hard. This is a great racetrack. Man, it's hot. This is kind of like testing for St. Louis in a couple weeks. So we got our car in the final, and if we can win that round, we can move around Corey. So that's obviously what we're going to try and do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, who will he face? That's going to be one of the big questions. Who is going to face in funny car? Del Worsham, Tony Pedregon against one of the forces.
Tony's on fire.
Wow, big fire there on Tony Pedregon. But despite that 12-to-1 bet's looking pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, but boy, I think it's
burning pretty good inside right now, yeah.
So we're trying to get out of there. Johnny West,
he's out.
glad
That's
he got
good.
the win, but you see Tony motioning to get that fire out because they don't have very many spare bodies. He does not want that body to burn off of that thing.
Let's go to Dave Reed.
Johnny West, all eyes on the AC Delco screen. Looked like we got a bit of a fire down there. What's the body situation now? Tony's out of that race car.
It just depends how bad it did get into the body, but we put a hole out pretty early, so just have to take a look at it when we get back to the count.
I know bodies are in short supply. Were you able to get another one out from Indianapolis for this race?
Yeah.
Well, that's good news. At least there's something there. As the family looks on to see how much trouble Tony Pedregon is in with that fire and how much damage it may have done to the machine.
Well, you heard Johnny say there was a cylinder out early. Obviously, you're in race conditions. Tony, if this had been qualifying, he'd have got off the throttle before the finish line. But when you don't see your competition, you leg it to the finish line, get the chutes out. She's on fire. Just try to get that thing stopped as fast as he can. He can't even see at this point. He's just trying to get the roof hatch off, get his belts off, and get out of the top of that. And his big concern was getting the fire put out on that body.
Now, watching back at the starting line, like I say, the community, they pull together. They see something like that, and everybody's worried.
Well, and a lot of times from the starting line, you can't tell how bad it is. Really, when the car comes to stop and then you start seeing that black smoke coming up, that's when you know that was a really bad fire when you're not there to really be on top of it to see it.
So Tony jogs back to the car to get a good look at it. This was at Houston, Tony's explosion.
It was Friday night qualifying session here, and car was hooked up, had 8 cylinders, something went away, probably in the valve train or broke a rod or something, and it just launched that body. And as a driver, there's different types of fires and different types of explosions. This thing you could feel. The engine was laboring. As a driver, you start kind of getting a little bit lower in the seat because you know something's going to happen. And then there's other ones like that happening Friday night in Houston where it's just going along something just fine and something breaks in the valve train or you break a crank or something and kaboom, it fires all that fuel in the manifold and there's really no indication before that explosion. He knew something was going wrong before that happened, but he knew he also had to get to the finish line ahead of Del Worsham.
In the turnaround before the finals, they're going to have to get that car totally repaired.
standing by with Tony Pedregon. Boy, the adventures just seem to continue for you and this team. We're taking a look down here at your helmet, Tony, and a lot of debris and one thing or another from inside there, and you can just see it's very thick on the top of the helmet. How hot did it get for you?
Well, it got hot when it initially ignited, and you know, I could felt it labor a little bit. You know, we're doing a lot of things to adapt to the heat. We're slowing the clutch down. We're slipping the clutch more, and you know, it puts we got a lot of fuel volume, and occasionally they're gonna hurt something, and it's tough to do by nature. We want to get to that finish line, and the bigger concern was just all the fumes. I don't want to go down with the ship, but I did want to stop it. I know we're real slim on bodies. We'll probably got another one in the trailer. Sorry, Stan Herzog, it doesn't have all the logos, but Snap-on Tools, Quaker State, all the companies that stand behind us, Larry Miner, all your depth, Kenny Koretsky, that's going to allow us to fix this thing. We just hope there's not a lot of damage in in our management box with some of the lines and wires, but we got Cruz's help. Snap-on, the team will be over there, and sorry for the delay, but I'm glad I'm okay. Another body hurt, but good news is we're in the final. I got to look at it that way.
There is a bright side to it. Stat guy?
Glad to see that Tony Pedregon's okay, but think about this stat. In 20 races at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the funny car #1 qualifier has only won one time, and that's the guy in the golf cart, Tony Pedregon, back in 2003, as he just took out Del Worsham.